You walk into work on a normal Monday morning, coffee in hand, slightly tired, mentally preparing for the day. And then you see it again. That coworker who somehow always looks like they've figured life out. New car parked outside his office, branded clothes that don't look cheap, weekend trip stories that sound expensive. Another person talking casually about a vacation to Dubai, like it was just a grocery run. And then you look at your own situation. You're working hard. You're being responsible. You're trying to save, trying to invest, trying to do everything right. But still, there's this uncomfortable thought sitting in the back of your mind. How is everyone affording this lifestyle? And the worst part? Nobody seems stressed about it. Everyone looks fine, confident, normal. That's where the confusion begins. Because what if everything you're seeing is not what it looks like? What if the entire workplace has quietly become a stage where people are performing financial success they don't actually have? And what if the people who look the richest are actually the most financially trapped? By the way, I'm Gigi, and after studying how people actually build wealth versus how people pretend to look wealthy, I realized something uncomfortable. Modern life has created a strange illusion. We don't just live anymore. We perform. We don't just earn money, we stage financial identities. And the workplace is one of the biggest theaters for that performance. Here's the first thing you need to understand. Human beings are not wired to understand hidden wealth. We don't see bank accounts. We don't see debt. We don't see credit utilization. We don't see financial stress. We only see what is visible: the car, the clothes, the lifestyle, the vacations, the gadgets. And because of that, we confuse visibility with success. But visibility is not wealth. Visibility is just marketing. In reality, a large portion of what looks like success today is built on something extremely fragile: debt, financing, credit expansion, long-term payment plans, and psychological pressure to maintain appearances. That's why two people earning the same salary can live completely different financial realities. One is building wealth quietly. The other is building lifestyle obligations loudly. And from the outside, they might look identical until reality catches up. Now, here's where things get interesting. Because lifestyle inflation is not random. It's automatic. The moment income rises, spending rises with it. This is not a moral failure. It's psychology. Human beings adapt extremely fast. What once felt like luxury becomes normal in months. A better apartment stops feeling special. A new car becomes expected. Expensive food delivery becomes routine. And suddenly, what used to feel like success becomes just baseline life. This is called hedonic adaptation, and it quietly destroys financial progress without people noticing. Because your income might go up, but your freedom doesn't. Only your expenses do. And this is where many high earners get trapped. Because on paper, they look successful, but behind the scenes, their financial structure is fragile. Rising rent, car loans, credit cards, subscriptions, lifestyle commitments, insurance, travel expectations. Everything becomes a fixed monthly obligation. And once your life becomes a list of monthly payments, you are no longer financially free. You are financially required. This is why some people earning $200,000 a year feel just as stressed as someone earning $50,000. Because stress is not only about income. Stress is about dependency. And dependency grows when expenses grow faster than freedom. Now let's talk about something even more important. The modern economy has completely changed how people think about money. Nobody asks, how much does it cost anymore? They ask, what is the monthly payment? And that small shift changes everything. Because suddenly, expensive things feel affordable. A $70,000 car becomes just $900 a month. A luxury apartment becomes only $300 more than last place. A vacation becomes pay later in installments. And psychologically, the brain stops seeing total cost. It only sees accessibility. But the system doesn't care about accessibility. It cares about total debt exposure. And over time, that difference becomes devastating. Because you are not buying items anymore. You are buying obligations. And here's the part nobody likes to admit. Debt doesn't feel like debt anymore. It feels like normal life. Monthly payments become background noise. Until one day, they aren't manageable anymore. But by then, the lifestyle has already become part of identity. And that's where people feel stuck. Not because they are poor, but because they cannot downgrade without emotional pain. Now layer social media on top of this, and the situation becomes even more distorted. Because now everyone is not just comparing themselves to coworkers, they are comparing themselves to strangers online. Influencers, travel creators, luxury lifestyle pages, entrepreneurs showing highlight reels. And the brain doesn't know the difference between real and curated. It just absorbs it all as reality. So people start upgrading their lives, not based on financial logic, but based on emotional pressure. They don't want to feel behind. They want to feel included. And that desire is extremely expensive. This is where something very important happens. People stop spending money to improve life and start spending money to maintain identity. That shift is subtle, but powerful. Because once spending becomes identity-based, it stops being logical. It becomes emotional defense. You can't downgrade this car. What will people think? You can't move to a cheaper place. It doesn't feel like success anymore. You can't stop traveling. That's who you are now. And suddenly, lifestyle becomes a cage, not a choice. But here's the twist most people never realize. Real wealth almost never looks impressive in real life. In fact, it often looks boring. Very boring. No loud signals, no constant upgrades, no need to show anything. Because real wealth is not about expression. It's about accumulation. It's about ownership. It's about control. It's about freedom from monthly pressure. And freedom does not need validation. Most financially stable people operate very differently. They don't chase lifestyle upgrades every time income increases. They increase savings. They increase investments. They reduce dependency. They focus on assets instead of appearance. And over time, something powerful happens. Their money starts working for them instead of them working for money. But from the outside, they don't look special. And that's why most people misunderstand wealth. They think wealth is visible, but real wealth is invisible. Now let's talk about the emotional cost of looking successful, because this is something rarely discussed. When someone maintains a lifestyle they cannot truly afford, it creates constant background stress, even if they don't admit it. Every bill reminder, every unexpected expense, every financial decision becomes slightly heavier. And slowly, their life becomes centered around protecting the image they've built. They cannot take risks. They cannot slow down. They cannot change direction easily because everything depends on maintaining the appearance. That is not freedom. That is financial pressure disguised as success. And over time, this pressure affects more than money. It affects sleep. It affects mental health. It affects relationships. It affects decision-making. Because financial stress doesn't stay in your wallet. It spreads into everything. It changes how you think. It changes how you behave. It changes how you react to life. And many people don't realize it, because from the outside, everything still looks fine.
So now the question becomes important. If so many people are stuck in this cycle, how do you actually escape it? The answer is not dramatic. It's not complicated, but it is uncomfortable because it requires changing how you define success. First, stop measuring yourself against visible lifestyles. Second, start measuring your net worth, not your appearance. Third, reduce fixed expenses instead of increasing them with income. Fourth, avoid identity-based purchases. And fifth, understand that financial freedom is not about how much you earn, it's about how little you need to maintain your life. Because the lower your dependency, the higher your freedom. And freedom is the real goal. Not status, not appearance, not comparison. Freedom. And if you think about it deeply, the people who win financially in the long term are not the ones who look the richest. They are the ones who need the least to feel secure. The ones who don't panic when income fluctuates. The ones who can make decisions without fear. The ones who are not trapped by their own lifestyle.
So the next time you look around your workplace and feel behind, remember this. You are only seeing the surface. You are seeing the performance, not the reality behind it. Because the truth is, some of the people who look the most successful are the ones carrying the heaviest invisible pressure. And some of the people who look ordinary are quietly building something that cannot be seen yet, but will eventually change everything. The most dangerous financial trap in modern life is not being poor. It's spending your entire life trying not to look poor. Because in that chase, people lose the very thing they were trying to build: freedom. And maybe the real definition of success isn't who looks ahead right now. Maybe it's who still has control over their life when nobody is watching. If this made you see money differently, you're already ahead of most people who are still stuck in the illusion. And that awareness is where real financial change begins.